How's it going, Jets fans? My name is Alex with my co-host here, Ryan Moran. And what a great day to talk about the catalyst surrounding Zach Wilson, his hopeful success in the 2022 season and beyond. And so far during training camp and minicamp, he's been looking pretty solid. There was some concerns about his accuracy, some other kind of small things that people were talking about and overblowing. But now he's looking great, and now we can overblow that too. So we can talk about how great Zach Wilson is looking and how these playmakers are going to extrapolate on his strengths and allow him to curate a lot of production without having to do a lot of work. Now, there are some things that I think he needs to improve upon. I was talking with my Jets friends yesterday about, where he kind of faltered during his rookie season and where he needs to improve. So I do have a couple of ideas and concepts I want to discuss, and just the overall amount of playmakers and assessing how they can contribute back into this offense. Some really extraordinary talent to work with. It's going to come down to coaching and scheme at the end of the day, but we trust Mike LaFleur and we trust Robert Saleh to get the job done with these guys and really build on their talents and strengths. So excited to dive into Zach Wilson and assessing the offensive playmakers around him. But before we do so, Ryan, how you doing today, my friend?
Doing great, Alex. I appreciate it. And, just to kind of start here with what's around Zach, I think with what you were saying there, just the stability overall, when you look at Joe Douglas now, it was his third full off season. It's obviously his fourth regular season coming out with the Jets. So he's been around for some time now. He's gradually built this thing up over the last three off seasons, little by little. And, it's definitely the best team that, Douglas has put together since he's been with the Jets in 4 years. And then from there, Robert Saleh is obviously in his second year, gained that experience along with Zach last year as a rookie quarterback. And, the two main coaches that Zach's working with, with Michael LaFleur as his offensive coordinator and, Rob Calabrese, who's gotten a lot of, recognition as of late as the quarterback's coach, and two guys who I think you have to have some confidence in, with what LaFleur showed you at the second half of last year. And, a lot of the buzz that Calabrese has gotten and some opportunities that he reportedly got to, be a coordinator elsewhere this offseason. I think you got to feel good, just looking at the teaching that Zach's going to have at his disposal going into the second years. He's anticipated to make this jump.
And I'm pretty confident he's going to make that jump, right? The jump that he's about to experience is a lot of predicated on kind of what Michael LaFleur said yesterday in the press conference, is like they're focusing on individual things to build around, right? They're like not trying to do everything at once. They're trying to figure out, okay, this is what we have to focus on today. This is what we have to iron out. And one of the things that I had in mind was his screen passing, right? Zach Wilson last year had a lot of issues throwing the ball on screen passes because he did not have a strong foundation. He was trying to sidearm these throws. Now, NFL footballs are a little bit bigger than collegiate football, so it's a little bit harder to like arm throw these things, like when you're not with a planted foundation and base. I think one of the things that they're probably going to need Zach Wilson to do, and that they've probably been working on with him during this offseason, he added like 10 pounds of muscle, or just weight in general. I think that what they want him to do is, stand in a quarterback foundational stance and throw the ball out there on screen passes. There's no reason for him to catch the ball, drop back, and try and sidearm it to the sideline. There's no reason for it. It doesn't make any sense. So I think one of the things is alleviating that just minor concern, and that I think is easily coachable and fixed. I think it's going to be a lot easier for him now to just get into the pocket, get into his foundation, his stance, and just rifle that ball out to the screen. And whether it's a little bit above the line of scrimmage or behind, he needs to get the ball there. You're not giving your guys any help if you're skipping it off the turf or the ground or whatever surface they're playing on. And that is just manufactured production for quarterbacks, right? Like, for example, you look at Patrick Mahomes last season. He made 160 passes behind the line of scrimmage. Josh Allen, 100 passes behind the line of scrimmage. Zach Wilson, I don't even know if he got to 50. You know what I mean? Of course, the injury definitely played a part, but like, he needs to do better in that category. And that's a way for quarterbacks, especially when you have Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore and some good tight ends. You can get out there on screen passes. And then you have Michael Carter and Breece Hall, for goodness sake, all these amazing playmakers. Give them the ball and let them work and operate in space. That is the easiest ways for quarterbacks to pick up yards. That is why Mahomes has so many yards. That is why Allen has so many yards. That is, not the only reason, but it's a big factor in producing, just letting your guys get the yards for you. You don't have to do all the work. So I'd like to see Zach Wilson just take what the defense is giving to him, make the easy throws, the high percentage throws, make those seamlessly, and that is all. Do you think that that's something that he's going to improve upon this season?
100%. I think, that rookie year is just so tough. You go through the draft process, which is exhausting in and of itself. And, the amount of stress that comes along with that. And then you're a rookie quarterback in this market, brand new coaching staff, the youngest roster in the NFL last year. I think at times it's just mental. And, I think you saw really it was after that Saints game when Zach really started to kind of put some good performances together over the last month of the season. And, he was better on that short accuracy aspect to, playing quarterback. And, you said it, just getting those skill players the ball in space and allowing them to, pad the stat sheet for him, so to speak. And, I really just wanted to kind of briefly touch up on each position group and, really assess, like, is Zach, in an optimal position to succeed this year? And I think starting with the quarterback room he's in, obviously we talked about Calabrese. I think, having both Mike White and Joe Flacco back is definitely beneficial. I know that it was reported the Jets placed, an emphasis on keeping that room intact, the same as it was at the end of last year for Zach. And, I think that should be good to have that presence in the room with him. From there in the backfield, obviously you touched up on Breece Hall, Michael Carter. I think a 1-2 punch you have to feel great about. Breece brings a little bit more size. They both have the vision, the patience, the contact balance. Breece is a little bit faster, where Michael Carter's built low to the ground. He's really tough to tackle. He's quick. He's elusive, shifty. And in the passing game, they can both catch, like you said, the screen game, check downs underneath through progressions, and even having Tevin Coleman back as your third back, I think is really beneficial. The vet of the group, guy that's played, I think, 6 of his 8 years in the NFL now in this offensive system. So he knows it well. He's got speed still, and he can help in the passing game as a receiver. And, I think that fourth running back spot, we've talked about Michael Pirine, Ty Johnson, Zonovan Knight, some of the competition there, to round out the group with depth. And we'll see if Nick Bowden is on the final roster as well, a fullback, a guy who they really like. So I think in the backfield to begin with, just assessing these position groups around Zach, I think, with really Breece, MC, and Tevin, you really got to feel good about what Joe Douglas has put in place there for Zach.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to. And I do want to reference some of the numbers. I kind of wanted to do a little bit more of a deep dive into where Zach Wilson struggled in terms of the passing game. So for reference, let's look at the best quarterback in football. Let's look at Patrick Mahomes and what he is able to accomplish on easy percentage throws, throws that are either behind the line of scrimmage or 0 to 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. Okay. These throws should be automatic for quarterbacks, right? I mean, given even if your offensive line isn't that good, those throws should be easier to make because you're getting the ball out quick. You don't have to wait a long time for the routes to develop, and a lot of them are just screen passes or short quick outs. So looking at Patrick Mahomes, right? He threw 151 passes, or rather 164 passes. He completed 151 passes last season behind the line of scrimmage. That's a 92% completion rate. In the short yardage portion of the field from 0 to 9 yards, he completed 78.5 completion percentage with 256 completions. Let's look at Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson last season completed 45 behind the line of scrimmage for a 78.9% completion rate. So think of it this way. He matched Patrick Mahomes' number, but Mahomes was throwing it 0 to 10 yards, and Mahomes was throwing it behind the line of scrimmage, which should be easy completions, right? So Patrick Mahomes actually is so much better at this point in time, unfortunately, that he actually has a better completion percentage when throwing downfield 0 to 10 yards than behind the line of scrimmage, which should be a lot easier. So Zach Wilson only threw 65.9% completion rate compared to the 78%, almost 79% from Patrick Mahomes in the 0 to 9 yard range. So where does Zach Wilson need to get exponentially better in the short yardage situations? He threw 50% medium range, 10 to 19 yards, and then about 40% deep, 20 plus yards downfield. He's not a bad deep ball thrower. He's got to get a little bit better in those categories. But in the short to intermediate, or rather the short to behind the line of scrimmage throws, he's not doing well enough, right? He's not completing enough of those passes. That is where the manufactured production comes from for NFL quarterbacks. That is where a ton of yardage, touchdowns, that's where they come from. Those specific portions of the field. He is not good in those positions of the field statistically during his rookie season. If he can see a sizable jump where he's, let's say if from 0 to 10 yards from the line of scrimmage, he's hitting 75% and he's about at 85% behind the line of scrimmage, and they're throwing a lot more screen passes. Maybe he throws 100 completions. You're going to see his stats double straight up. You're going to see his stats double from last season, and you're going to see him take the next step, because the thing about Tom Brady, Mahomes, those really great quarterbacks is that they are perfect when the throws need to be at the right spot, the right time on short yardage situations. They make the right decisions. They do not miss. They're very accurate in those portions of the field. If you're missing throws in that portion of the field, you have a problem. And Zach Wilson, unfortunately, was missing throws there. This is not a a hit on Zach right now. This is just saying where he needs to grow and develop. He is so young. He is allowed to have bad stats in his rookie season. That is what it's for. That is why the rookie season exists, because you're new to the NFL. You're making adjustments. Usually, if you're a rookie quarterback, your team is not ready for you to be a star just yet. They're still developing and growing. And the Jets very much are like that. Their offensive line was piss poor to start the season, but now they're looking a lot better. They have a lot more continuity, some better names, some better players, some consistency with one another. Mekhi Becton's making a return. So I think Zach Wilson's going to see those numbers exponentially increase, in context. He's not going to be Patrick Mahomes, but he's going to take a big step forward, and his production is going to be astronomically better because of it. So I guess my question for you, Ryan, is who is going to be the primary guys that you're looking for in that zone, the short to intermediate, like the line of scrimmage, behind line of scrimmage, 0 to 10 yards. Who are the main guys you're looking for in that zone?
I think the top 5 you're probably looking at are, Brees Hall, Michael Carter, Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, and Braxton Berrios. You think about the screen game, the quick hitters, the short stuff underneath, and those were some great stats you had. And I think when you look at the LaFleur system and, offensive schemes similar to it, you look at obviously his brother Matt in Green Bay, and kind of how he's gotten Aaron Rodgers these last 2 years back to himself. And you think about just how quarterback friendly of a system it is, and the play action game, screen game, all that stuff, like you said, around the line of scrimmage. You look at what Sean McVay was able to do when Jared Goff was there, the amount of easy completions you can manufacture. Kyle Shanahan, obviously very similar with Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers. So I think that the system's in place, and, for him to even improve on those stats you were talking about, I think it just comes back to mentally just focusing on those mechanics. And LaFleur has obviously spoken on, the focus that he has had has been much better, much more direct, and he knows what to expect. And, I think those are really the 5 that I mentioned: Brees, Michael Carter, Elijah Garrett, and Braxton Berrios, really the ones I look at. You look at the receiver group as a whole, just kind of piggybacking off of what I said at quarterback and running back. We'll go through receiver, tight end, and O-line here. I think at receiver, the 3 starters we've obviously discussed. When you look at Moore, Wilson, Corey Davis, and you got to feel good about that starting trio around Zach, if he's going to make this jump that we all want. And then the depth from there with obviously Berrios and hopefully Denzel Mims and Jeff Smith, are at the moment really those projected 5th and 6th receivers. And, Mims is a guy who's obviously gotten a lot of buzz this offseason, just the shape he's in. He has the size and the speed. You just hope that mentally, with his route running, that he's much further along. He should be now. Jeff Smith is a guy that they like a lot, similar to Elijah Moore and Braxton Berrios in the sense to where he can kind of give you some of that gadget stuff. So I think that the receiver group, really those top 3, and Berrios is your main depth guy. I think Joe Douglas did a good job there. Any thoughts you have on the receiver group for Zach, and, if this group is primed to help him?
Oh, yeah. Overall, yes, this group is primed to help him big time. I mean, Garrett Wilson is a dynamic receiver who can make guys miss in the open field. He's electric with the ball in his hands. Elijah Moore, we saw it last year. He's going to end up being the wide receiver 1 for this group. I think Corey Davis is the WR1 for now, but that could quickly change. Elijah Moore is a guy you can lean on. He's a guy that, can make hard catches. He can take the ball to the house at any given moment. He can take a screen 10, 15 yards for first down. I think that Brees Hall, my favorite running back on the draft, he's a workhorse. He's going to plow over guys. He's going to break tackles. He's a one-cut, get vertical guy. He's going to pick up extra yards. He's also electric with the ball in his hands. Michael Carter, we saw last year what he's capable as a rookie. Great pass catcher, can make things happen in that portion of the field. They can get super creative with these guys, man. This is going to be a fun offense to watch. Michael LaFleur has proven to be a creative offensive play caller. Braxton Berrios, just the cherry on top. You know what I mean? He is a dynamic piece that you can put, in the slot and as a kick returner. And I don't see him being the prime offensive weapon unless injuries arise, knock on wood. But I think your number 1 receiver is going to end up at the end of the year. It's going to be Elijah Moore. And I think Garrett Wilson is going to be a close wide receiver 2. And I think Corey Davis is going to drop to wide receiver 3, because at the end of the day, Corey Davis is a possession receiver, and the Jets offense is going to be leaning on Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson to do stuff in the open field and make plays for them and curate production based on their athleticism. Corey Davis, he's a good guy to have as a security blanket. He's a guy that you can lean on. But I wouldn't be surprised if opposing cornerbacks, CB1s, are lining up against Elijah Moore come week 7 or 8 instead of Corey Davis. So that's kind of my take on the wide receivers and even the running backs too.
For sure. So then obviously you go to tight end, which we've talked about as well. I mean, just the difference from last year to this year for Zach, with Tyler Conklin and CJ Uzama both signed free agency, and then Jeremy Ruckert added in the third round. I think these guys, they all can pass and run block, which is really nice to keep defenses off balance, should help Zach potentially off of play action. If LaFleur wants to operate out of 12, which he showed at the beginning of last year, he would really love to, and even some 13 personnel packages where all three of these guys are on the field. I think when you look at Conklin, it's the hands, it's the route running, it's the ability to just create separation and be a security blanket for Zach, which is nice. I think Uzama physically, the size, the speed, he can offer something vertically, with that speed. And he's great after the catch with that size, the power that he plays with. And, I think Ruckert is, a gifted athlete, has good size, he's a really tough, hard-nosed football player. And, I think only should grow, with more opportunities as a receiver. And, the tight end group, I think JD really did a great job with, and making sure he did everything he could for Zach going in year two.
Absolutely, guys. So I'm excited to see this offense. I'm excited to see how Zach Wilson takes the next steps forward, how the coaching staff has really started to dive in some of his weaknesses. We're going to get a better look. He's looking good in practice right now. Obviously not going to get too excited about that. Just practice at the end of the day in shorts. But when live action comes around, we get to see a little bit of action in preseason. It'll be fun. And this is going to be a really exciting team to watch ultimately. So we have a lot to look forward to, a lot of news left to untap. I know Mekhi Becton spoke to the media yesterday and had some funny things to say. He was wearing a shirt that said, big bust, I believe. So he's kind of playing on people, joking around a little bit, and, seems to be in good spirits and making a comeback. So I'm excited to see how his rehabilitation continues to progress, my friends. But if you guys have any thoughts below on this Jets team, on Zach Wilson, the playmakers, expectations, always happy to hear from you guys in the comments section. It's a community after all. Continue helping us build it because it's going to be great. Going to be a lot of fun. Before you know it, we're going to be doing a lot of good stuff, and we'll be giving out stickers and cool things, and hopefully you guys can get involved in that entire portion of the community building process. So much love as always. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Jets episode.